Welcome to Real Grief, Real Healing with Mindy Corporon. I am your host, Mindy. A friend of mine told me in early 2018 that she saw a vision of me with a microphone in front of me. I laughed at the time and said, "I don't see any microphones in my future." Less than a year later, I was recording my first podcast on this show. I'm not going to say, "I hope you enjoy this podcast." My podcast is not truly meant to be enjoyed. Real grief, real healing is just that, real and raw. I provide you an opportunity to learn and share in the grief others are experiencing, and then we share how they are healing or perhaps not. Grief changes each of us in some way. Many of my guests have been encouraged to open new businesses, start foundations, and in general, work to make the world around us a better place. Grief is universal. How we decide to move onward, seeking healing, is individual. A significant part of my healing comes through the courageous kindness actions of others. As you listen to my podcasts, you will hear how you can give and receive courageous kindness too. Together, we are better.
Welcome to Real Grief, Real Healing with Mindy Corporon, taking a deep dive into the reality of the difficulty grief brings and offering insight into the healing available to each of us. Today, episode 17, Holidays. You have permission to establish new rules. And now your host, Mindy Corporon.
Hi friends, it's Mindy Corporon. Hey, thanks for joining me today for Real Grief, Real Healing. I hope you all are doing well, and I hope that any kind of online schooling you are involved in is going as well as possible. If you are still working from home, which I know many people are, I hope that is also smooth sailing, so to speak. Please stay healthy and wear a mask. I know we're all still doing that, and washing our hands. Let's just continue to care for ourselves and care for others around us. So it may seem kind of early for me to be mentioning the holidays, but if you're listening to this podcast because you have had a grief event, if you've had a life event that has caused you to have grief or deep sadness, you are going to want to hear this podcast. You're going to want to hear some of what I have to offer you. And what I did was I thought about what tactics and tools I used to get through the holidays, especially the first year. But I'm going to tell you, the second year was hard as well. And in case you don't know, I am 6.5 years out, almost 6.5 years out. This will be our seventh holiday that we will have without my dad and my oldest son, Reet. And so the holidays are coming up, and they can really cause some extra emotional pain. And I want to talk about that now. And in the event you need this now, that's fantastic. If you have a friend who you think might need it, you'll have plenty of time to send them the link to the podcast so that they can listen to it before the holidays are upon them. So I am a Christian, and so my holiday that will be coming up is Christmas. However, I know that I have a very diverse listening audience, and I have a diverse group of friends. So I looked up some other holidays, and I don't know that I grabbed all of them. So I may not touch all of them, but I do want to mention that in early November is Diwali, and it's a Hindu festival. It's one of the largest festivals in November. It's the Hindu Festival of Lights. And then there's another festival, and I don't know that I'm going to say this correctly, but it's Shahath, I believe. It's spelled Chath. I should have called my friend Sunaina and asked her how to say that correctly, but that's November 11th through 12th. So, if you're of a religion that is very prominent, which you probably know, I'm speaking about Christianity and Judaism, if you're not aware of your other friends or friends of yours who have faiths that are different than yours when their holidays are, take some time to find out when they are. I am not as good at it as I would like to be, but I do try to pay attention. So another holiday that is coming up is an Islamic holiday. It's the Islamic holiday that honors the birth of Prophet Muhammad, who founded Islam. Shia and Sunni believers will celebrate on separate days, but they'll celebrate by reading the Prophet's teachings. And the name of the holiday is Mawlid el-Nabi. Again, I may have butchered that name, but I am trying just to make you aware that when I say holidays, there are humans across the world celebrating holidays, really year round, but there tend to be quite a few in the late fall and winter. And then my friends who are Sikhs, the Sikh faith, they will be celebrating on November 23rd, Guru Nanak. He is the founder of Sikhism, and he's the first of the 10 Sikhs, and his birthday is November 23rd. So that looks to be an important date to be remembered. And so if anyone in your circle who is of the Sikh faith, and you know that, be aware that there's a holiday on November 23rd, and it might affect them more greatly if they have had a grief event in the last year. For my Jewish friends, Hanukkah is December 10th through the 18th in 2020. And then Christmas is December 25th. Although we do, many people celebrate Christmas Eve just as much. So December 24th and 25th, obviously. You know what? I should not even say that, obviously. I don't know what faith you are. Isn't that funny? I even work to be interfaith, and yet I say things like that because that's just the life that I've lived. And so please give me grace as I continue to make changes in my own life about learning other faiths and faith traditions. Okay. So now that we've talked about the fact that there are a lot of different holidays, and when people have a grief event, a life disruption, and the holiday is coming up, it could be a trigger and they could suffer more greatly. So if I am talking to you, I appreciate your time and listening to me about how I might be able to help you in particular. So I looked up some ideas, and one of them in particular, actually 9 of them, came from a woman named Amy Morin, Morin, and she had an article in Psychology Today, and I will give her all kinds of credit for this in my show notes. So she had 9 specific items to think about. And then what I have done is I've added my own personal experiences to what she had written. But I'll give her all the credit for helping spur me on to the details of this podcast. So number 1, during the holidays, trust that grief is part of healing. And if you all have been listening to my podcast, you know that. You know that grief is definitely part of healing. And I said, this means crying is going to happen, potentially in public and at work. It could happen in an elevator, at a movie, in a church, at a concert. Watching a favorite movie or show you used to watch with others can be a triggering event. I used to watch The Voice, and I used to watch The Office with my son Reed, and a little bit of Lucas too, but with my son Reed. And I still struggle watching those shows. They don't bring me the joy that they used to, but on occasion when I watch them, I know I'm watching them because he wants me to watch them. So as the holidays are coming up, though, be aware that you're going to be more emotional, a little bit more on edge, and potentially in public that can happen. And so just be cognizant of your planning and your time frame on when you're going to be in public and when you might be feeling a little less cheery around all those cheerful holiday goers. Find a place or places where you can cry and heave it out. Those are definitely my words. Be a mess with the tears. If you've had one of those crying, messy, tearful days, that's when the snot's running down your face and your face is red and blotchy and you're heaving out those tears. Get it all out, all of it. Just cry and cry and cry until you cannot cry anymore, because you will feel better after that is over. And then go wash your face. Let's take a deep breath, have a drink of water, and realize that the holidays are going to happen whether you want them to or not, no matter what kind of holiday they are, and you will get through them. From the holiday music on the radio to the office music or the music played at a mall, and then the holiday displays that are in places like a pharmacy or a grocery store, all of these can cause us pain rather than joy. I mean, the first year I looked around at people and I would get angry that people would be so happy. I did not want to be happy. I had no intention of being happy. I had to pretend to be happy. Uh, it's kind of called fake it till you make it. And that's what I would do because that first holiday is super, super hard. So I turned off the holiday music. I listened to sports radio. And I actually recommend sports radio because it's better than political radio. If you're interested in the political talk and that doesn't rile you up or upset you, then go for it and listen to it. But certainly try to put yourself in a position where you do not have to hear the holiday music if that starts causing you sadness, like it caused me. I did not listen to holiday music for 4 holiday seasons. 4 holiday seasons. So please give yourself grace and permission to be silent and or turn the radio station to something else. Number 2 is set healthy boundaries. I did say there are 9 of these, so I'm going to get through them. So number 2 is set healthy boundaries. And what I want to share with you is that grieving is exhausting. And typically during the holidays, expectations have been set very high for holiday parties, family and friends gathering, and or gift giving. Now, you may have a break this year with COVID. I mean, if the COVID can be a great excuse if you don't want to use the excuse of I'm grieving. If people around you think you shouldn't be grieving any longer, which those people, it's not their choice whether you grieve or not. But if someone is telling you that and you're still grieving, and you don't want to tell them that that's why you don't want to come to a party or come to a gathering or even get on a Zoom call. If you just don't even feel the desire to get on a Zoom call and watch all of your friends be happy and joyful, then don't do it. Then don't do it. Grieving is exhausting emotionally and physically. They can wear you out. Just thinking of those parties made me nauseous. They just really did. They made me nauseous and tired. And I didn't go to any parties at all for at least a year, no significant gatherings. And then when I did start going to anything that was public like that and was a social gathering, I very much had to protect my heart. As soon as I heard people start talking about their children, I either knew I had to, or I felt like I didn't have to. I felt like I should buck up and be ready, be armed with, I have a child in heaven and I have a child, Lucas, who is such and such age. Or I would just turn and walk away and take myself out of that scenario. You can do that. You can respectfully walk away from a conversation anytime you need to. So you can say no to gatherings. You can find a place or have a plan of escape. Let's say there is something that is happening. It's 10 people or less, or it's COVID appropriate, and you feel like you should make an appearance, but you don't want to stay long. Maybe let the host or hostess know you're going to be making an appearance, but you don't plan to stay long. And do that. Pop in, deliver your gift, what you need to do, say a few pleasantries, and excuse yourself. It's your right to do that. So set healthy boundaries. Number 3, focus on what you can control. So I had to think about this for a little bit. What was it that I could or could not control? I could control what I would eat or not eat. I could choose to shower or not. I could choose to take a walk or not, which means I did have some control over myself, my body, my personal hygiene, my personal space. And then personal space makes me think of controlling who comes in my home and where I allow myself to go. Again, I really was not at all ready for crowds when the first holiday came upon us, but I did want to attend church. So I was careful to attend church and either sneak in and sit somewhere seemingly by myself. I did attend church by myself on occasions, and then I had friends attend with me. And I just tried not to make a big deal about it. I wanted to sneak in have a seat, listen to the service, cry. I cried through church numerous times. People who did sit around me, they pretty much figured out who I was if they sat in that same area often. That I did enjoy going to church. That filled me up. To me, that was not a crowd that I couldn't be around. That was a crowd that was welcoming, and I felt comfortable crying in their midst. But I did try to control the type of crowd that I would be with. I learned to listen to the conversations that might trigger the pain that was lurking in my heart. I did want to be present and hear what people had to say, but yet I didn't want to feel that pain. And so if I started to feel that again, I had to make a decision. Do I want to stand here and hold my ground, or do I want to back away? And frequently, especially in the first year or two, I backed away. Limit your own decorations. Let's talk about something just a little less heavy right now, decorating for the holidays. Again, grief is exhausting. I had no energy. Let me tell you, if you are trying to help someone who is grieving, help them decorate their home. I did have people come and decorate my door. I did have friends come and help us set up the tree. It was super hard. Emotionally, it was hard. Physically, it was difficult. So that's a gift you can give to someone. If you're not the griever and you're wondering how can you help someone during the holidays, maybe offer to set up their holiday home for them, their holiday decorations. Maybe they want to be gone while you're doing it. Let me just recommend that, because it is hard and sad to see all of those ornaments come out and remind you of the memories that happened that are not going to happen again. So I did limit my decorations, but I also asked for help on that. Shop early and or online to avoid the holiday cheer that is just being vomited all over us. You know, I can laugh about it now, and I probably laughed about it then. But I tell you what, I mean, I know you're thinking it's October and we're talking about the holidays, and I've started really early. But the retailers, they're starting. They're going to be starting any day now, and I want anyone who's grieving to have some preparation. So if you are going to be a gift giver, you're going to be buying gifts, go find them early and often before the other shoppers are out, before that holiday music is on, and or find them online. I'm sorry when I say find them online to people who need those retailers to come in. I love shopping local. That's another option too, is to go into small shops and find things in boutiques rather than going to the big box places. Again, COVID might rescue you this year in that fact. You might not want to go or feel like you should go to a space where there might be a lot of people. Okay, number 4, plan ahead. And this makes me laugh, plan ahead. With my foggy brain and tired body, I don't know how I did any planning. I know I had to ask for help, and ask for help is on number 9, and I asked for help on number 3 and number 4. I talked early with Lynn and Lucas about what they wanted and what they didn't want, and we didn't necessarily want the same thing, and I didn't necessarily want to do what they wanted to do. We were very much in what I will call walking through the molasses stage of our grief. If you've been in grief, you probably know what I'm talking about. Each day you wake up and you just have trouble moving. There were days when I was just grateful I got out of bed and showered and brushed my teeth and brushed my hair and I could have a conversation. And each day got a little bit better with me persevering through each day. Every day was painful, and my anticipation of Christmas morning was weighing on me. I just didn't want Christmas to come, certainly that first year. But we did talk early, and we talked about what each of us might want and not want for the holiday. And I had these 2 boys, Lynn and Lucas. They didn't want to talk. They didn't want mom talking about it. They didn't want me bringing it up, but I'm a talker and a communicator. And I wanted to know what was interesting and of interest to them. I did shop early, and I worked to have everything purchased before December 1st. I had no intention of being anywhere near holiday shopping when it was in true form from December 1st to December 24th. Okay, number 5, allow yourself to feel a range of emotions. To me, this is common in early stages of grief, which I would say are years 1 and 2, but they are heightened during the holidays, and I believe that's why she brought them up. Allow yourself to feel a range of emotions: sadness, crying, anger, anxiety, agitation, foggy brain, lack of clarity, trouble with decision making of any kind. And all of these can be felt in a matter of minutes. You can feel all of them, and then you can laugh out loud at all of these crazy feelings swirling inside of you. So just know that's normal. If you are feeling them, you know other family members are feeling them too, and be aware of that. Have some check-ins with your family members on how they're feeling. But when you have capacity, and hopefully what you're training them to do is to ask you the same things. I'll tell you right now, my Lucas, he is very aware of when his mama needs him, and that's because I have really poured into him to be there when he needs me and to ask him questions about when he needs me. But he can hear it in my voice just like I can hear it in his voice. You know, when your parent calls you, or your child calls you, and you can hear their voice, and it's either in that lilting happiness of joy, or it's got a tinge of some kind of anxiety or sadness in it, and you can hear it. He can hear that in my voice now, and he will recognize it. And that's because I think I tried very hard to pay attention to him and his voice when he was 12 years old and he lost his grandfather and brother to murder. Number 6, find a way to honor your memories. And I added number 8 to this. I pushed them together. Do something kind for others, because when I find a way to honor my dad and Reet, when I find a way to honor loved ones, to me, I'm always wanting to do kind for others at the same time. Now, one example was given: lighting candles. Certainly during any kind of holiday, an Islamic tradition or a Hindu tradition or Sikh or Christian or Judaism, many of these talk about lighting candles. So lighting candles is a perfect way of honoring your family members. But when I added do something kind for others, my whole brain lit up. We have done turkey giveaways, or you can give away warm clothes and warm mittens and blankets when needed if you're living in a cold area. And giving warmth away warms my heart. I know it will warm your heart too. Adopting a family for Christmas was always part of our family tradition. And so we did that again. We did that in 2014, that first year. Lucas wasn't that interested in it, but when I told him that I had picked 2 boys, that we were giving gifts to 2 boys, he was very happy about that. And so he wanted to go shopping with me for the 2 boys. I wanted to leave for Christmas our first year. I wanted nothing to do with Christmas, mostly because of the severe pain it was causing me and the anger I felt toward anyone who was happy. Logically, I know that others can be and should be happy. They can have joy, of course, and even when I don't. But the anger would well up in me, and frankly, sometimes it still does. And I can get a grip on it now. I can feel it coming, and I can say to myself, Mindy, where's that coming from? Why is there anger in your heart? What do you need to do to process that? But around the holidays, when you start feeling that feeling, figure out what it is you need to do for yourself to remove yourself from that situation and go let it out, whether it's tears, going for a walk, a jog, etc. Process that pain through your body. So I'm sure you've got lots of ideas yourself of doing something kind for others. So to me, that those two go together: finding a way to honor my people and doing something kind for others. Those two I love putting together. Her number 7 is create new traditions. And I call this making new rules, because when I grew up, it was just, this was how you did it. You did this on Christmas Eve, and you went to Christmas Eve service, and you woke up on Christmas morning and you opened gifts, and then you had a breakfast casserole, and And then you opened more gifts and you stayed in your pajamas all day. And that was just, I'm sure you're thinking right now, what does your holiday always look like? It is a tradition. Well, I'm giving you permission to make new rules. If you are grieving and if the old traditions are very difficult for you, try a new one, make up a new rule, eat new foods, engage with people who have other traditions. Even let's say you never went to look at holiday lights. Let's say that was never a tradition of yours. Now you could do it. Or if you did always go look at holiday lights, maybe you join with another family and do it differently. Or maybe you go to a movie instead. Or maybe you rent a movie instead. Think about what you've done previously and alter the plan slightly. I did try to do this too much. I'm kind of pushy. I tried to do too much and I upset my family. I was trying so hard to not have a normal Christmas, but Lucas let me know we weren't having a normal Christmas. And so I've been careful to make sure that he could still celebrate the way he wanted to. Again, be aware of what your other family members need for their grief too. In the area of number 8, do something kind for others. I've written down some ideas. Write cards or paint a picture and deliver it to the nursing homes. You could adopt an elderly person, offer them any type of care that's possible. I know during COVID, I know many, all of them, nursing homes and retirement homes are not quite open yet. But if they are, maybe you could go visit, or you could write cards and send them to them. Typically, they're lonely and alone. You could paint rocks and place them on the front porches of your neighbors' homes or apartments. When I say paint rocks, what I mean is put words on them like love, kindness, joy, hope, faith. Just the act of painting or drawing these words will fill your heart. There is always someone in need. Y'all, if you attend a church, a synagogue, or a mosque, ask them how you can help during the holidays. Be a new volunteer. Could you make food? Could you deliver food? Maybe that's something that you have done previously, and maybe it's something you want to continue to do, or perhaps it is new to you, a new idea. Maybe go serve at a soup kitchen and go find out what the homeless need. If you find someone who needs your care, it will help your heart. And then number 9, and I've mentioned this along the way, ask for help. If you cannot stop feeling sad at any time of day, and if your tears are never ending, find a counselor and or a doctor to help you work through your sadness. There is no shame in needing assistance from another human to help us through our sadness. And when I say this kind of human, I mean a human who is a licensed professional. And let me be really honest here. Alcohol is not a help. Alcohol is a Band-Aid, and it soothes the pain, and it really does not allow you to process the pain. So be very aware if you are drinking more than you should. And I don't know how much you should be drinking. I'm a lightweight. I'm a small, petite person. And when I have an alcoholic beverage, I know I can have 1 and I might have 2 glasses of wine. But when I have 2, that is my limit. And if I have more than that, I'm kind of toast. It's not pretty. And I could start crying even uncontrollably if I'm in a sad space. So please take care of yourself. Please honor yourself by drinking water, by drinking fruit punch, by making a fun spritzer. Please don't add to your misery by doing something that can harm you emotionally or physically while you're in your sadness. I saw a counselor for over a year, and every week I went in to talk to her, and I would sort through the mixture of emotions that I felt. I needed guidance from a third party who didn't know our story or our family, and she offered a new perspective on what I was feeling and how I might react or not react in the coming days. If you've thought about seeing a counselor and you're feeling ashamed or you're struggling with financial means to do so, I recommend that you try to find someone that fits what you need, that fits your budget, that fit your time frame. I did ask my doctor to prescribe me an antidepressant after I got through the first holidays. The first holidays, I'm not sugarcoating it. It sucks. It is really awful, the first holidays, no matter what holiday it is you're celebrating. The first ones without your loved one are not pleasant. So please be prepared. So after my first holidays, I asked my doctor if I could have an antidepressant. And we had a very long conversation, and he did. He prescribed me something. But then over the next 6 weeks, I felt nothing. Nothing. I didn't feel joy. I didn't feel sadness, but I didn't feel anything. And I went back in to see him, and I said, I'm just going to have to feel the feelings because I don't want to not feel joy when it's time. I don't want to miss out on laughter or happiness when I have the opportunity to have it. I did become stronger and more confident in who I was, and I realized that I could and that I had faced the unimaginable. So friends, you aren't alone. Feel free to message me and ask for help. Feel free to reach out to other resources that I might put in the show notes or that I put in the show notes previously. Ask your friends, plan ahead, and God bless you. Bless you and your friends as we are upon this holiday season. No matter what holiday you are celebrating, celebrate it with care and love and kindness for yourself and your family members. Because grief is real and healing is real too. Thank you. Friends, thanks so much for joining me today for this podcast of Real Grief, Real Healing with Mindy Corporon. If you want to dive deeper into how you might heal yourself or a friend, please pick up a copy of my book, Healing a Shattered Soul. Published on May 3rd, 2021, you can find my memoir anywhere books are sold. You will also find me in social media channels as Mindy Corporon. Take time to help yourself heal. Accepting courageous kindness. Take time to heal another by giving courageous kindness. Together, we are better.
Real Grief, Real Healing is copyright 2021 to 2022, Mindy Corporon, all rights reserved. Our theme music is composed by Dave Croft and used with permission. This podcast is a production of 818 Studios.